It started with a statement that felt like it came out of nowhere, or at least that is what the company wanted you to think. Wake One Entertainment dropped a notice announcing they were monitoring malicious comments and preparing legal action against those targeting Zero Base One and their reality show, Alpha Drive. On paper, it looked like standard K-pop procedure, a protective shield for their artists. But if you have been following the chatter online, you know exactly why that statement exists. It wasn't a generic warning. It was a panic button. The name on everyone's lips and the reason the company is scrambling is Kim Gunwook. He is back in the headlines, not for a music show win or a viral fan cam, but for an allegation that feels disturbingly specific and has turned the internet into a chaotic crime scene. The entire situation is a masterclass in how not to handle a scandal involving a supposed victim, stolen identities, fabricated evidence, and a fandom that is at war with itself over what is real and what is a desperate attempt to ruin a career. The story didn't start with a news report or an official complaint. It started on a blog, the kind of quiet corner of the internet where people go to vent, thinking no one is listening. A mother wrote a heart-wrenching post about her daughter, a young floor director working at a major broadcasting station. According to this account, the daughter came home absolutely shattered after a recording session with a newly debuted boy group. The allegation was that while she was giving instructions, one of the idols, identified by netizens as Gunwook, muttered an insult under his breath. The phrase alleged was something along the lines of telling her to shut up, paired with a derogatory slur about her appearance. It wasn't just a slip of the tongue or a heated moment. The report claimed another member had to physically pull him back, and he spent the rest of the recording staring her down with a look of pure disdain. For a staffer in that position, the power dynamic is suffocating. You cannot clap back, you cannot leave, you just have to stand there and take it, because an idol's image is worth more than a staff member's dignity in that industry. Then the narrative deepened and became much darker. A post surfaced that netizens believed was written by the floor director herself. She confirmed the details, adding that the verbal assault and the subsequent online hate she received pushed her into a severe mental health crisis, leading to self-harm and psychiatric treatment. She clarified a crucial point, however. She never intended for her story to become a national headline. She claimed a mutual follower took her private anguish and blasted it onto public forums without her consent. She wasn't looking to destroy the idol's career, she claimed, but simply wanted to document her pain. She even attached medical documentation to prove the severity of her mental state. It was a messy, tragic situation that should have triggered a serious investigation, but instead the internet did what it does best. It turned into a circus. Everyone wanted to be the one to take him down, and in their rush to find proof, they ended up sabotaging the very credibility of the victim they were trying to support. This is where the scandal takes a sharp turn from a simple he said, she said into a bewildering mess of stolen identities and digital forgery. As the allegations spread, accounts claiming to be other staff members began popping up to back up the floor director's story. They posted photos of NBC business cards, employee IDs, and shots of editing rooms, presenting them as undeniable proof that broadcasting insiders were corroborating the incident. It looked like a slam dunk for a moment, but the reality was that these so-called receipts were falling apart at the seams. It turned out that a significant chunk of this evidence was stolen. An actual staffer, someone completely uninvolved with the scandal, woke up to find their old Instagram photos and blog posts being used as props in a hate campaign against Gunwook. Their business card, their ID, their desk photos, stolen and repurposed as if they were the whistleblower. They had to issue their own statement, practically begging people to stop impersonating them, asking why their personal life was being weaponized in a controversy they knew nothing about. The fraud went even deeper. Eagle-eyed fans noticed that one of the new staff ID photos circulating online was actually a recycled image from a post made back in 2020. The lighting, the angle, the tiny marks on the card, it was all identical. Someone had simply taken an old photo, erased the text, and tried to sell it as fresh evidence from 2024. A large social media account that had been aggressively spreading these images eventually had to delete their posts and issue a public apology, admitting they had been duped by fabrications. They specifically confessed that the NBC staff business card, the editing room shot, and an SBS staff card they promoted were all misused or fake. This revelation flipped the script entirely. Suddenly, the narrative shifted from "look at the proof" to "everything is a lie." And that is the true tragedy of this situation. The existence of fake evidence doesn't magically prove Gunwook is innocent of the original insult, but it muddies the water so badly that finding the truth becomes nearly impossible. The credibility of the accuser took a massive hit, not necessarily because her story changed, but because the mob surrounding her decided to play detective with stolen photos. To understand why this scandal blew up so fast and why people are so ready to believe the worst about Kim Gunwook, you have to look at his history. He didn't enter this situation with a clean slate. Long before he debuted in Zero Base One during his time on the survival show Boys Planet, he was already swimming in controversy. He was accused of being a school bully, accusations that were loud enough to force a response. He issued a handwritten apology, the standard "I was immature, I will reflect" script that we see all too often. His company at the time, Wake One, also got caught in a lie regarding his trainee status, initially claiming he was an independent trainee before admitting he was actually a company trainee the whole time. They even briefly terminated his contract during the show, likely trying to save face, only to pick him back up when he successfully made it into the final debut lineup. That history of Ilgin, rumors, the apology, and the company's secretive handling of his trainee period created a profile of him that people already distrusted. So when this new allegation surfaced, the public didn't approach it with neutrality. They approached it with a sense of, here we go again. The industry context here is vital. Wake One Entertainment has been accused of protecting him from day one. Even with the bullying allegations hanging over his head during the survival show, his screen time was reduced only temporarily, just until the heat died down. Once the public moved on to the next scandal, he was slowly edited back into a favorable light. Fans harassed the original accusers into silence, a depressingly common tactic in K-pop fandom culture, and the controversy was swept under the rug. This pattern of behavior makes the current situation even more volatile. When the company releases a statement now threatening legal action, fans and critics alike view it through the lens of that past protection. They see a company that is willing to gamble on a controversial figure, potentially shielding him from consequences yet again. But on the flip side, the revelation that proof was manufactured gives the company ammunition to dismiss the entire thing as a malicious smear campaign, which is a terrifying prospect if there is actually a real victim buried somewhere in this mess. The current state of affairs is a confusing swamp of contradictions. On one side, we have a woman claiming she was verbally abused and body shamed to the point of self-harm. Her story is specific, tragic, and resonates with the power imbalance idols often have over staff. On the other side, we have a digital trail of fake IDs, stolen photos, and impersonated staff that discredit the entire evidence narrative. The internet is now split. One side sees the fake receipts and screams witch hunt, convinced the idol is being framed. The other side sees his past bullying allegations and refuses to give him the benefit of the doubt, believing that where there is smoke, there is fire. The reality is likely somewhere in the gray, messy middle. It is entirely possible that the original incident happened, but the zealotry of online investigators trying to prove it with stolen pictures has now made it nearly impossible to hold anyone accountable.